Hi, and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I am Mr. C, a Roku critic, and I hope you're doing well. Well. Yes, good conversation for you today. It's kind of short for us, at least, right? Is there anything else? Oh, shout out to the filmmakers who were part of the film that joined us on the space. I know the writer comes up at some point. I think it's just before we go into the pushback section, and says a word. I'm always appreciative of filmmakers who join the space, um, and just at least to partake really. I know there are other filmmakers in it who were part of the film who were in the space. But yes, I like people to be able to, if you worked in it, to just be able to come and listen, because it's the number one aim of the space is just hear people say what they think about the film, and that's really it. That's really it. And thank you guys for who have been listening. Please do give this rating. If you enjoy it on whatever podcast platform you enjoy, and I hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Bank Alert. Today we'll be discussing Bank Alert, and we're going to discuss what we like in the good. We'll discuss what we didn't like in the bad. We'll disagree with ourselves if we have any pushbacks and pushback section, and then we'll give our summary at the end. If you are listening, you want to share your stuff, but you don't want to speak, just comment underneath the space. All right. Vanessa, do you want to tell us what you liked about Baccarat?
Sure. Kanayo. Yeah, you people, stop sleeping on my man. Stop sleeping on my man. I quite like he wasn't in this for too long, but like that first scene at the core, I was like, okay, I like it. I don't hate it. It's not the most fantastic thing I've ever seen, but I don't hate it. So it's going in my good. Um, I have always thought that Cassie has potential as an actor. I just only wish he wouldn't direct himself. Sorry, this is the good. Okay. Um, Ogogo. It was nice to see Ogogo. I liked Ogogo playing the soft-spoken retired army general who really loves his daughter and keeps bushmeat for her at home just so she doesn't get into quarrels with her mom. I thought it was cute. I liked Ogogo in this. I like Ogogo in a lot of things. So the key to my heart, Nollywood, is give me Ogogo. Um, who else? What else did I like? What else did I like? Um, I guess I don't know. I I do believe that what's his name? Uzaruko is becoming a bit typecast. I don't know when this was shot in comparison to a bunch of stuff he's done recently over the past couple of years. Um, I'm speaking more so to a tribe called Judah. But Uzaruko always delivers anyway, despite being typecast. He seems to manage to give a good performance. I appreciated that his bad guy character called everybody Nah, or what did he call them? One day called everybody one day, and I was like, okay, fine, okay, I'll take it. I didn't hate Uzaruko in this. I don't hate Uzaruko in a lot of things, but I would rather he not be typecast Nollywood. Thank you very much. What else did I like? Yeah, I've done my best. I'm gonna leave the rest.
Can't believe
Trying,
I have
guys.
more to say than Vanessa. Like, when does that happen ever?
This is what happens when you do me charity and give me the first space. I become you.
Oh no. Anyways, we'll pick up from where we stopped. Because I actually had a lot more good. Well, not a lot more. And honestly, they all focus around the actors. I loved Ozarkwe in this. I do agree that he's going typecast, but I don't really have an issue with a typecast character done well. So I'll give him that. And I would really like to see him and Dan Insay in something for some reason. I think they have a versatility that could be fun to watch on screen. But he is currently in my top 10 of Nigerian actors, so shout out to him. Um I think one of my favorite scenes in this, not because of the movie itself, but just watching both Uzo and KOK do their thing in that scene where he infiltrates his office. There was like Kanaya being Kanaya. He just there was a humility to the scene that worked. I don't know how to explain it, but I thought they played off each other nicely. And my next thing, I love KOK. I love that he's being cast in more things again. I think he's a true legend. I thought that he was very seamless blend as a lawyer and his friend, and like his Nigerianisms were hilarious. He was probably the only funny person in this movie. The scenes with him were probably had some of the funnier lines. Like when he comes in to tell him he's going to kill himself, and he's like, "Did you come and take permission from me to kill yourself, or is it going to be before or after you pay me?" I thought that was funny. Um, and then even when they say I'm not Kanayo in that same scene, mildly hilarious. But all the funny, unfortunately, only happens with him in it. What else? Kate Henshaw, as always, is a dream to watch on screen. Beautiful, gorgeous woman. I'm not sure what her character was, but I enjoyed watching her sort of be the long-suffering wife. She did that well. I liked seeing a lot of the faces, not all of them, but a good amount of the people that were in it, especially with the older actors, real powerhouses. And between like these four people, it did not feel too ensemble. Unfortunately, everybody else outside them, I don't know. But okay. Um, Kate, Uzo, KK, brilliant, loved them. They all worked, I thought, in a way that did not feel like they were competing with each other. But I liked Uzo's character, I mean. It was just the right amount of crass and vicious without being cartoonish. I thought that there was a slight complexity to it. Um, but yeah, that's as much as I can say. I like the first sort of hour-ish, maybe 45 minutes of it. It was a little slow, but I thought there was like a family drama in there that could have been explored a lot better. I don't know what it descended into, but that first like 45 minutes where they're kind of working through him being broke and, all of that I thought was interesting.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Atas. I forgot my fact checking. Okay, Bakasi did not direct this. Akay Mason directed this,
Ah,
but
Emo Binu, because when the film started, he say an Okay
yeah,
Bakasi film.
yeah,
No, I didn't read the credits. When I saw that, I was like, okay, fine, okay, directed this. No shade,
yeah.
sorry, AK. Just, I don't know.
It's still possible that he wasn't directed. But I hear you on that. Anyway, just wanted to do that. And we have Terrence. Terrence, tell us what you liked about Bankala.
Hi. I mean, firstly, I agree with Vanessa. Like, what I liked was the first act of the movie. Oh, the first act was
My
really
name is
fun.
Attack.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I really liked the first act of the movie. It was really fun. It was really fun to watch. It was really fun. Like, I wish the movie had just gone that way instead of the route it went for. I really loved the first act of the movie. And secondly, I loved, interestingly, Oke Bakassi in the movie as well. Like, I've not seen him in anything. Okay, except in Flatmates. But I really liked him. Like, he felt very believable as a man would, fell off and then he has to struggle to get back on his feet. He's been faced with some kind of, some abuse at home. So he felt very believable. And also abuse from his neighbors. It felt very believable. Okay, Bakassi. That was, I really, yeah. And also his relationship with KOK. their friendship. Wow, like I don't know if they are friends in real life, but it felt really believable and felt very organic and real, and it was such a delight to watch. Seeing, yeah, I agree with that Kyoki was really funny in this movie, and it just got me thinking, like, oh, like those years that we had comedy movies with Ikemowo and Sam Ife. Like, I wish they had featured him in one of those movies, and to just show this side of him. You get, like, we only saw him as a cult leader or something for so many years, and I wish, that was just me. Yes, I love that. What else? I love the sets. The set, Okibaka's house with his wife and kids. Like, I love the sets. It felt a bit claustrophobic, like a bit small, and even with it also informs in the way they framed the characters, because. And I don't know, like, it didn't feel wrong to me. It felt like, I'm not a film person, but it felt very nice and felt very different, because sometimes with Oke Bakasi's close-up shots, it felt like an overhead. I don't know if it's just me. You get, like, it felt a bit tilted up. And I liked that. I like camera movements, even though, along the movie, like, they got tired maybe, because there were like some really nice camera movements with the owls and how the camera interacts with the actors. I really liked that. Um, I also liked when they went to, I can't remember the name of Okibaka's cousin. That environment. I liked the set as well. It felt very believable. Uh, felt quite believable. I liked that too. What else? Yeah, Uzo can never do anything wrong, right? Can never be wrong. Even if I also agree that at this point now he's been typecast, and I don't know if it's a problem. It's gonna be a problem. Like, they need to, they need to give him a breather. Somebody else needs to take those roles. But yeah, it was really a delight to watch, and he's never wrong. The mind is never wrong. What else? What else did I like? Um, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, those are the things I liked. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Terence. I just wanted to also highlight that I think, if I remember correctly, this came out slightly before. This would have come out before Tribe of Judah. This came out last year, so I imagine this is. I imagine this is, and actually, I think because they would have come out very close to each other, so I don't think that he was in the Noisha. I think he would have done this back to back before it came out. But yeah, no, thanks, Terence. Nolly Goodfellow, do you want to tell us what you liked about?
First thing first, I'd say I kind of enjoyed the movie. I found it really entertaining. Of course, there were a couple of things that Um, first thing first, it is the oldest Nollywood theme, that of Quick Money, and in terms of format, I found it very much like a commercial Indian film format, where it starts with comedy, then you have emotions, and then you have action at the end, and that too bad action. But despite all of that, I think it was entertaining on the whole. I found it funny in many places. I loved that Jamaican character. For some reason, he just cracked me up, and I also like the part where he goes to the house and there's that retired general or colonel or whatever, and he looks at him with disdain. But towards the end of the conversation, he does this fist bump and things like that. So all of that was really funny. Of course, I also like the whole family angle, and Kate Henshaw. Yeah, she was really good. I mean, the last time I think I saw her was it Blood Sisters or Far From Home? One of those series, and she was a lot older in that, and she was snootier, and I could have never imagined her doing something like she did over here, and I think that was commendable. What else did I like? I mean, overall the performances were good, and yeah, I mean, talking about the quick money thing, I guess here there is a better explanation than there is in other movies, or even that Yoruba series that came last year. I forgot its name. Uh, yeah, so all of that was well done. So yeah, all in all, I'd say it was a pretty entertaining film.
Okay, no, thanks. Thanks, not a good fellow. Just going to read out Derumi's goods. Derumi says, seeing OG actors like Ogogo, Tina, KOK, OK, and Kate, very, very number one. Number two, very, very small pockets of comedy. And number three, the intention of this movie. Wow, Derumi, that's banned. All right. Derumi likes the intention. All right. Anka, do you want to tell us what you liked about Bank Alert?
I think first of all, it was nice to see Ogo in like a main. I, I don't know if this is true. Everybody should say it's mainstream because not many Nigerians are watching it, but it's just good to see Ogogo in like I guess new Nollywood theater movies. Yes, all the veteran actors that we've seen for years definitely know how to act, and I think the acting definitely pulls this movie off. One other thing I wanted to say was like this story, this plot line of like, okay, having random money fall into your bank account, but it's from a thief. I don't know why it's now common in Nigeria, but it's common in Nigeria. But I feel like this is the best way that they made it shows you the process of how indeed this money went into this guy and the accident and all that stuff. So I think it did more showing. So I think this is the best from all the movies I've watched so far that has this thing from Nigeria recently. So that's a good. Like I would say they choose appropriate music, but again, the sound mixing is a little bit of an issue. But they choose appropriate music, and there was more of like situational comedy and more of like what's it called? Like dialogue dialogue comedy in it. So it was there were moments where I really did laugh. It wasn't a waste of time. It was a good okay movie to watch. And I thought that it's just a basic good okay movie that you wouldn't ask what's going on so much. Even though I might say like maybe they shouldn't have made him done the gangster movie thing where everything you kind of stole from a big gang because that type of movie is being done so many times in Nigeria. But if there's a movie that does that, I think this is one of the best that did it. So that's a good for me.
Okay. High praise. Marshmallows, do you want to tell us what you liked about Bank Alert?
Yeah, I think everybody who spoke has already touched on what I like the most, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I will say that what I liked about it was when I started it felt because the last one I saw was Casa de Novia. I couldn't come around last week because I couldn't make it, but I just wanted to say that this was just far better. And so when I was watching the first 30 minutes, I was like, okay, good. This is definitely much better. The actors were, delivering. KOK was probably my best part, my favorite actor in the movie. And yeah, they didn't. I think they told the story well. I'll say that because it wasn't. I mean, they told the story well. I understood what they were trying to do. I laughed at some points. I wasn't bored following the story. I think that they gave me enough to keep me watching till the end, and I think overall it was a good effort from everybody there. So I think it was very positive from that point of view. So yeah, that's why I like it.
All right, no, thanks, Marshmallows. Mrs. C, do you have words for Bank Alert?
Yeah. So I wasn't mad at this, some of it, but um, so for goods, I think I got quite a number of laughs from scenes with KOK and scenes with Uzo Arukwe. I think Otas mentioned we're not mad at typecasting. We're not mad at someone playing the same roles if they do it well. I don't want him typecast though, but I think he does do it well. Now, I would like to see him in a romance. I want him to be toasting somebody with, mommy in the accent. I think it would work. But he still did a decent job. KOK is a funny man. KOK is funnier than I thought he would be. And I really enjoyed these scenes. I think I remembered one scene where Kebaka's character came in to tell him, hey, these people are after me, I need to run. And he'd sent the babes that were in bed with him away. And he's, all serious, like, this is very serious. It's like, you people should come back. And that just really cracked me up. So I really enjoyed KOK, and I think him and Kebakasi played off each other quite well. What else did I like? Oh yeah, like I mentioned, they kind of walked you through the process of how this happened. And I liked that because it's not crazy. It's so not crazy. I'm familiar with it. They've actually done this with the bank accounts of people I know, and the banks couldn't explain where the dodgy transactions had come from in and out. And they gave stupid excuses, but it's very obvious they'd used the dormant account to do shady things. So it was very much not crazy. It very much made sense, that setup. So yeah, as usual, Nollywood will carry you to where you do not know eventually. But before it took us to where we did not know, it was kind of fun. Also, just something else that I thought was fun was the way Bakasi's character switched as soon as money entered his hand and instantly became a big man. Anywho, that was when I knew poverty was his destiny. But that was beside the point.
All right. Okay. First off, I keep on being a little delayed on some of my fact checking. I think Taran said he wished KOK did a few more comedic roles back in the day. I think he did. At least he did a couple. I know he's known for his blood money stuff and rituals, but he's always been a versatile actor. I actually remember this. It's funny because he actually technically does the rituals in this film, but he played this role where he was an illiterate trying to help, sending this girl off to school, and she goes off to school obviously and becomes like a educated, and then I think ends up being embarrassed by being with an illiterate. But he's illiterate. He was basically doing the Falls bad English before Falls did it back in the day. But yeah, I remember I want to marry your daughter. That specific line being the thing. But anyway, that's just to say KOK has been doing the thing for some time. Anyway, what I liked about this film, yeah. So I thought, I think I said it was online. I was speaking to in the comments section that I think if this film gives me like 7 laughs, I'll be all right. And I think I would have ticked that off, especially earlier on in the first half hour, 40 minutes. Yeah, so I found a lot of people have said a bunch of the goods. I found a lot of this funny, especially some of the characters, and there were things that the script was they didn't just leave it into the hands of funny men, even though there's a lot of that. I remember there's this place where the script where this girl has been kidnapped. The daughter has been kidnapped and she's complaining about the food, and then the guy is saying, my friend, why are you complaining about it? And she turns to him like, oh, were you the one that cooks the food? I think that's a brilliant line. I thought that was funny. But I think the story is very simple. I think one of the things that sometimes Nollywood it tries to do too much, and this one keeps it very simple. maybe sometimes too simple, but I rather simple and like try to execute the story you're going for. All right. I don't actually think the story goes. I think I'm generally fine with this. We'll get to the issues in a bit, but I liked how simple the story was and how contained, and I thought the writing was made some clever moves. Sometimes we want to hit from this plot point to the next plot point, but we don't quite know how to do it. But this one did it all right. Even like sometimes the way they deliver the information. I remember when okay, Bakassi goes to the bank and he's talking about he wants to borrow this loan. And they ask him, "Do you have an account with us?" And he mentions, "Yes, I do, but it hasn't been used for a while." This way, that his account is one of the dormant accounts, and the way they activate it before the mishap happens. I liked how that was done. So yeah, I guess I'm not mad at this, and I think the structure is very. The structure is fine. It's a very noticeable. It's been done quite a few times, like Income mentioned, and even Nollywood Fella. I think I thought about it as well. Omogeto has the same sort of structure where it's like comedy, then action, kung fu in the last third, in the last few minutes of the film. So yeah, I also thought cinematography wise, Terrence mentioned this. So okay, it doesn't always work 100% just because of how basic the story is. But I do think all the more ambitious shots and the more interesting ways it tries to shoot this story is similar to is much better than some of the recent films or some people have been praising up and down achieve. But I will say I don't know how much I'm grading it on the curve because this just felt like old Nollywood. Just in terms of how sometimes back then when we wanted to do a story, we just pick it and then and then they went here and then they went here and then they went here and then they went here, and we're just following that person's story and we're just following the plot unfold. It's again like it's very basic on that set, but like I think for a comedy, it kind of does what it needs to do for me for the first half, first third maybe. But yeah, all right. So that's what I thought about Bankalet. So let's pivot into the things that we did not like. Vanessa, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, but before I start, Mrs. C, if you want to see who's Queen romances, go to YouTube. I don't know what to
Yeah,
tell
I was
you.
gonna say that. When you said the whole, I want to see him use that voice to tell someone. I was like, he has like 5 YouTube movies.
Don't
I
worry,
need
just
to
go to
see
YouTube.
that.
That's all you need. Bads. I guess everyone's kind of alluded to our bad in the good, and it's how this film just abandons what it started with and just turned into a bad action film. Yeah. And while Mr. C made the kind of all right points that I agree with as to how the fact that the transition into some of these things kind of made sense, being that they explained it and showed it and did all of that. Yeah. It just still felt very off. Like, why are we all of a sudden shooting guns and using baseball bats, even though the baby with the baseball bat was hot? But like, why are we doing all of that? It just didn't work for me. And as much as I said, okay, Bakassi has potential as an actor, and Flatmates wasn't the first thing he's acted in. There was another like situational comedy with a bunch of comedians when I was a lot younger. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was kind of what like led to them creating Flatmates. But he's been dabbling in acting for a minute now. Yeah. And I just think sometimes, I think what it was with this performance was just really inconsistent. And sometimes, there will be a moment where I'm looking at him and I'm like, Akasi is actually doing a little something, something here. And then in the very next second, every time he did that shoulder shrug thing, right? when he was walking past the street or somebody said something to him and he would do that shoulder shrug thing. And it was him obviously like in his head acting. And it was very obvious when he was overthinking it, right? And it just threw me off a little bit. Um, yeah, love, what's his face? What was that his cousin's name? Kiloruko Bobo, yeah. Why
Is
am
it
I just
Janta? Yeah.
yes, Janta, but like, huh? Huh? God. I was like, what is going on? What is this accent? And you know that moment where he goes, I'll be your cousin, I beg, follow me, talk with him if you understand. And he starts speaking pidgin. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll take it. But like, what was the Janta character for what? I mean, I'm sorry. Another thing about this film is I didn't know what I was watching, yeah? Like I knew what I was watching, but like I was like, what is this? Is this a comedy? Is this a family drama? What is it? Is it a combination of a bunch of things? I didn't feel anything while watching this. Genuinely, it was a wonderful way to pass time. You know that thing where I can't eat without having something to watch? Yeah, that was it. I was eating dinner and I needed something to put in the background as I ate. And that was what this film was. That was not my intention when I started watching the film, or seeing as we're loving the intentions behind things now. That was not my intention behind watching the film. I genuinely wanted to watch the film for film club. But then when I realized what was going on, I decided to focus more on my dinner than on the film. I don't have any, like, I wasn't offended by anything. This is the thing about this film, right? And why I feel very underwhelmed is I wasn't offended by anything and I wasn't blown away by anything. It was just very mid. Sorry.
Okay. No problem. No wahala. All right. Thanks, Vanessa. I'm just going to read a couple of people's bad. Deomi said bad, the second half. All right. Okay. Uh, but as you wanted to say the things you did not like about Bank Alert.
4. Um, all right. So first things first, I don't agree that this is a comedy. I don't think it was nearly comedic or funny enough to classify as a comedy. Um, and not that I'm against sort of a bending of genres and mixing, but usually there's a prevailing theme. And for this movie, the prevailing theme felt more like drama, like family drama with like sprinkles of comedy and whatever that action was in the end. But it threw me off there because, first of all, there is a mood I need to be in to watch comedy, especially Nigerian comedies. But anyways, it just caught me off guard because it descended very quickly into drama. I don't even think it started funny. Um, like at the beginning, towards the beginning, when he's doing the job hunting and he goes to a bank, I think, or a company, with his resume and they ignore him or whatever for being old. And they're playing this music like it's hijinks about to happen, like something funny or whatever else is going to happen. And the whole scene, I'm just waiting, and I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Is he getting rejected for the job because he's old without looking at his resume? Funny. Maybe I'm the one who is lacking humor there, but it didn't work for me. Uh, they uh, they deviate so severely from the first 45 minutes, which is intentional, and it doesn't feel unintentional, but it does ignore all the family dynamics they set up in the beginning. And I'm honestly more curious about the family dynamics than whatever else they decide to start doing. Because I'm unclear, for instance, why Jade's family is not helping them out. Like, why have you let your daughter move to the slum with her 3 children? Like that feels like a move into your family BQ situation. If you have that kind of like property going on, why has no one hired him in the meantime while he continues to go job hunting in 3 years? I was very just unclear about it. Um, like her sister has money, her sister works, and her sister was just so cruel, and their little, I guess, cruel to each other through the movie. But it's just hard to imagine being in my sister's car. Her AC is broken. I can afford it. Like why is that not like? So I was just unclear about the whole family dynamic. And it added to a lot of confusion for me because on in general they seem like a decent family. Like the dad is nice and kind and soft spoken. The mom is loud. I mean Tinamba, but uh she also is not like terrible. She seems pretty supportive relatively. It just didn't quite click for me. What else? About halfway through the movie, it just gets silly. Not silly in a good way or silly in a funny way or silly in a comedic way, just silly. It just kind of descends into chaos and they just start doing things for doing things sake is what it feels like. What else? The fact that his family leaves him seems like it gets forgotten. Like she packs out with their three kids and he just moves on, buys a car, hires a bodyguard for 10 million. Like I wasn't quite sure why they were doing all of the things they were doing or why he was doing all of the things they were doing. Um, I don't know. It just got confusing for me. The second half just got very confusing. And I enjoyed each half separately. They just don't make sense together. Even though it's hard to explain because it makes sense. It's set up. Everything happening in the second half is set up, but it still feels like there's stuff missing. And I just don't know how to explain that. But it just didn't connect for me. And so I also left this very ambivalent. Like I didn't care for it one way or the other. Um yeah, like it just didn't make a lot of sense for me. Even as him being good with finances didn't make sense that he goes straight into squandering all of this money while he's been jobless for 3 years and he was looking for a loan to set up a business. Does he even set up this business? I don't think so. Um, I don't know. He saw a random 500 million, and honestly, a smarter idea would have been getting the loan with that as security because they would have given it to him then and not touching what is obviously trouble. He's worked in finance before, but I don't know. I just those are my feelings about this movie. I don't know.
Okay, no, I hear you. I will say a few things can happen, so the movie can happen. But no, I hear you. Why is your hand up? What are you?
I just wanted to tell class that in his defense, the finance he worked in was crypto. Carry on.
But like exposing fraud. Like the whole movie starts because he loses his life because he's like, I must expose this fraudulent behavior. Like anyone who's Nigerian or has been Nigerian for 5 seconds know that if random millions enter your account, they're
Yes.
probably washing money through your account. It's like the first 419 thing you learn. So I don't know. It just seemed like he was smarter than that, maybe. And it seems like halfway through the movie, they decide that he's not smart. They decide that she's just going to leave her family, no explanation, no conversation. Like I don't know.
Okay, I hear you. Terrence, do you want to tell us some of the things that didn't sit well with you?
Yeah, quite a lot of things, to be frank. Quite a lot of things, because we're watching this movie with people and we're enjoying the first act. And then, this precedent is set. There's money, isn't it? There's this millions in his account. And, you're expecting like, oh, there should be like stakes, take us off the roof. And, we are in for a ride. And then, just as Vanessa said, it was very underwhelming. Like the Act 2 leading up to the Act 3 was very underwhelming. I don't know, I'm not a writer, so I don't know how they would have done it, but it felt that way. It felt very underwhelming. Like, I mean, so many things felt very convenient. Number one, on top of my head, is just I think somebody mentioned it. Why do we have this character Janti in this movie? Why do we have him? It's for the purpose of convenience, or he has a cousin somewhere who is like a gangster and can come to his aid. It's very convenient, and it felt very flat for me. And because when he first talked about it, and I'm like, oh my god, they want to look for the easy way. You get it felt very easy because now we're, oh, this man, you're definitely gonna you're definitely like I mean, that those money are not yours. You're definitely going to pay, pay for it. You're going to really go through a lot for this. You get, and then we're rooting. You get to a point where we root for him. I'm like, oh, let it not catch him, because I mean, but it didn't really feel like it was in a perilous situation, because then it was now, after he found. I don't even know how he found out. I don't know. Maybe I missed that because I didn't even know how he found out that, oh, they have found him, or they have detected that they have detected the money in his account or something like that, or they have found his whereabouts. I don't know how I got that information, but the next minute is contacting his lost cousin and is going somewhere else, and that felt flat. I don't know if that was the right decision to actually have that character in this movie, because that's kind of, it's watered down everything. All the expectations is watered it down, because it felt very convenient to have somebody like that. Because I was just thinking about it like, oh, I did literature, so I mean, it's something we do in literature class. Is it Dux Ex Machina? That would have come as a Dux Ex Machina, and would have been wild at the end. Like, oh, he had somebody. You get. And it just felt flat from that minute. That decision to have this character as his cousin blew it off for me, because it felt very convenient, and it became very underwhelming, and you know what to expect. You get, and it felt very predictable, because at the end of the day, it's going to be like a gang fight or something. Because then when Uzo Arukwe's character already knows about this guy, he's also a tough person, and he's also a tough person. So there's going to be a fight at the end, and the good guys are going to win. And Okay Bakassi is going to win and have that money in an account, and film ends. It doesn't learn anything. At the end of the day, it doesn't really learn anything. Because, I mean, I really, this is a reaction to what Vanessa said about, how I squandered that money. I mean, it's very real. If I have that kind of money in my account, like the first thing I would want to do is like, enjoy life first, you get? So that was very relatable, very understandable. And, like all those decisions he made, like he wants to pay for something, you get? He ought to pay for something, but we didn't really get to see that. He didn't really suffer in this movie. I was expecting him to suffer a bit, you get? He didn't suffer, because they already made the decision to have somebody who would guide him. And what did they do? The only trick they pulled was to kidnap his daughter. And I was even annoyed why they only kidnapped his daughter. Why didn't they kidnap the three of them? And the very fat kid too. I really want to see that boy cry too. But then they kidnapped the daughter only, and then it was so meh for me. Because like, what? It just fell flat. The second act and the third, like it fell flat. So when it led to the fighting, like I've already lost emotion. There was no build up to that emotions. Like I didn't really feel anything. I don't even know who I was rooting for. But I was rooting for Uzo Arukwe. I was rooting for Okay Bakassi. I didn't know who I was rooting for. You get, like, if they had left, they have left this character, like this character had showed up later in the story, I know, oh, finally he's getting a savior or something. Because I've seen this guy suffer, and I've seen him, being remorseful about what he did. I mean, it's just money that came to his account, fine, but it's not your money. It's not your money, so you got to pay for something. You squandered this money. It's not your money. Squandered it. I mean, and there's they said a president that is already like this very, upright person who, and then I mean, people change. I like the fact that he changed. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
No, thanks,
All
Terence.
right.
We'll come to that. You entered some pushbacks, and but I hear you on the general this thing. If people have more things to say, we'll definitely have time. We don't have too many speakers on, so don't worry. But let's get around the first selection of people. Inga, do you want to tell us what you do not like about Bank Alert?
Oh, it's my turn already. Okay. Um. So what I do like about Baccarat, I did say that they were telling the movie did show how the money got in there, all that logically. The thing is that the movie did not show all of a sudden, um, U- Uze Arikwe knows that the money is with Okay Bakas's character. The movie did not show that. When we knew that is when Okay Bakasi was knocking on the door for Kano with two women. I mean, first of all, what? And secondly, it is very tame two women because we don't see them naked, which I am okay with. I am okay with that. I'm just saying it's tamed. Um, I'd rather not see anybody naked. I don't like seeing random naked people as much. Um, the what's it called? I don't think that movie showed that, and since then, you can kind of see that the movie might be going down there. Because now they're like every other movie that just keeps like important showing things. But anyway, they did so well in showing the other ones. I'm just like, okay, it's okay. Um, I do think like okay, I don't know why all of a sudden he 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 kills the kidnapper. Like they were planning on killing the kidnapper, and I'm like, this movie is presenting Okay Bakassi and his family, and especially the general's family, as like more legal people. Like killing somebody is, even if you kill in self-defense, you still go to a trial for that. You can't just be killing anyhow. This is not war, showing war. Like sure, but whatever. I find like when I was like talking like the writer kind of know consequences of things, because when Bakassi goes to the bank and asks the bank for money, the bank reacts appropriately. You don't have any something, you don't have no business plan, you don't have any that. That's reasonable. Like a writer writes something that is logically within the something, but then just stops when it's time to start writing the action parts. Like there's a logical just doesn't go, and I'm just like, okay, that some of the action were. I think I was kind of like, oh, some of the action was good, some of the action was not good. There was some sound issues. Um, there was some. I feel like they should have written and showed a little bit more for the forgiveness to happen between the husband and wife. Like something has to happen before. Like I get it. I'm not saying it's bad what they did, but I feel like they should express that a little bit more. Um, and this one is a personal thing. Cryptocurrency. They are pulling that thing on like third world countries, and I just want to say that Nigerians need to stop making movies where, even though this thing says is a scam in the beginning, oh, it's those people that are making scam. The cryptocurrency thing is working. No, it's a scam from the. It's not a scam. It's just not going to work. Cryptocurrency is not going to work. So nobody, don't put your money. If you're a regular person, don't put your money in cryptocurrency. Just don't do it. We should stop legitimating this thing. Like, how many times does it have to fall for us to finally realize that we should stop legitimating cryptocurrency? It's not doing the shit. That one is just a personal rant. Sorry. I'm just pissed off about like the continuation of cryptocurrency, and the Twitter guy that used to own Quit Twitter. Get out of Nigeria and stop doing cryptocurrency in Nigeria. Just get out. I don't, sorry. That one is just a little tangent.
All right. Okay. No, thanks, Enko. I forgot Nolly Goodfella. I'm so sorry, Nolly Goodfella. Look, so Enko, it happens to everybody. Nolly Goodfella, please go ahead. Please tell us some of the things you do not like.
Okay. Well,
It
I'm
happens to me
thinking of
often.
things besides. All right. So, yeah, just thinking about things that haven't been said. Well, one thing is the way certain plot points are forgotten. Like once the family goes away, the wife and kid go away, that thing is forgotten for a long time. Once the girl is kidnapped, that is also forgotten, and things move. There's no urgency that you can see at that point of time. Uh, yeah, those were the main things. Besides that, sound design, yeah, and what's worse about it is that the background music is actually good, but the way it's mixed, it overpowers the dialogues, and I needed the subtitles to understand the film. It was that jarring. Another thing is there were a couple of shots, like especially around the car, which starts with the rear view mirror of the car, the side mirror of the car, and then the camera comes around and focuses on whoever's inside. That was those were creative takes, but for some reason they didn't land. They were a bit weird. Besides that, what else is there? Yeah, I guess that covers most of it. Can't think of anything else as of now.
All right.
I mean, anything else that has not been mentioned.
All right. No, thanks, no good fellow. Just going to read some of your comments coming through. My tongue technology says, love Uzo, but he definitely getting typecast regarding Tribe Called Judah, Prophetess too. Yeah. You know what, like it okay, we'll get to that in pushback. But the scene where Dennis was asked to come fight and he's like he's not John Wick and then runs away. Okay, that seems like something they like. Ada says the Jamaican accent got annoying super quick. They eventually put aside the child kidnapping to focus on family reconciliation and comedy, which felt uncomfortable because where's the urgency? They stopped carrying the second and third act scenes with actual Max and Mike mentioning. All right, okay. My job this week is somewhat easier. Thanks to on that side. Okay, this is a pushback, but Triple A says this is not Mount Zion, please. The character didn't have to suffer. All right, okay. Marshmallows, you want to tell us what you didn't like about Bank Alerts?
Yes, sure. First of all, before I get into it, Oincom, please don't come for crypto. Like, don't do it. It has made me and a bunch of other people a lot of money, so let's not. Okay. So what I didn't like about the movie, first, like Ota said, it wasn't enough comedy. And I think for me, the biggest marker was Okay's performance as lead. It was more dramatic than comedic. And Okay Bakassi is one of like my favorite Nigerian comedians, so it was a bit disappointing. However, I didn't quite mind it because he could have decided to lean more into the comedy and it would have turned out to be slapstick. And then I'd be like, okay, what do I do with this? So in the end, I was like, okay, it's fine. But it was a bit of a letdown for me. Then some scenes lacked I would say realistic portrayals, if that makes sense. And when I thought about those points, I felt like if it was done right, maybe we would have gotten more comedy out of it. Like for instance, the scene where he was reactivating the bank account. I have had to reactivate a dormant bank account in Nigeria, and it's very annoying. Like there's documentation that they need you to do. So I don't know. It just seemed really convenient that you just walk into a bank account, a bank branch, and then they reactivate your account for you just like that. Like I don't know. And I feel like if they had tried to do it more realistically based on what we know happens, we could have gotten some laughs out of that scene. Another example is Janta's patois. Like, there's a big question mark there. But like, maybe if it was done right, or maybe if it was not patois, I don't know. But like, if that character had come correct, it could have made the whole thing funnier. Another one was yeah, I don't remember who mentioned it now. Like when Modestus found KOK's character, the lawyer, I don't know. I feel like if they had shown us that process, like giving us something to, like okay, he tried to reach Samuel and he couldn't reach Samuel, then found out to his lawyer because of his previous court case or something. Like maybe that could have given us something else. So it did feel convenient and it took away from the storytelling for me. Also, I thought that initially I thought the kids acting was okay. The first scene where we saw the kids when they were doing the food fight, I was like, okay, this is not bad. But then it just went nowhere else from there. And it's fine that they didn't use them that much more in the movie, but it was another letdown for me. I think just like Nollywood Fellow said, when he found out he had this money, he got a call that his family had left, and like that was it. Like we didn't see, and he just went to the house. He didn't see the family at home. He saw a letter, and like I don't know, that was it. We didn't see anything else about his family, and that bothered me. For me, it's like an unanswered question because initially they are trying to portray him as like a good family man who loved his family, he loved his wife, he loved his kids, and so the fact that he wasn't bothered. I don't know. It just, maybe in the rebuttal, someone might be able to explain or give me a bit more context why, but like that really bothered me, and it just, took away from the story for me. And I think what I didn't like the most was the final act. And I think it was Otasu who said that, the movie in different chunks work, but then when you put it all together, it doesn't. And I think the final act for me was just like, okay, what is this? Because initially the movie had, a lot of promise starting out. Like I said, like I understood the story they were trying to tell. I was looking for them. I was looking forward to them telling the whole story, but they didn't land the plane in the end. And yeah, I think that was, so I hold on to the positive for the movie because it made me feel good from the beginning, but the end was like, okay, yeah, well, they just had to end it anyhow. And that's the point. They ended it anyhow instead of ending it well. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Marshmallow. Mrs. C, what parts of Bankalet did you not like?
So I think the first thing that first scene where it was the Dutch angle, right, to get Lady Liberty, to get the Statue of Justice into the scene, that cracked me up, and I don't think it was meant to be funny. Again, there was, I feel like the camera movements were distracting. So now I'm focusing on the movements instead of what is actually happening in the scene. Anywho, also the characterization of Bakassi, I think someone has mentioned it. I feel like the film forgot who he was, or didn't. If it was a case of, well, poverty had changed him, or the suffering he had gone through had changed him, I don't see it. It wasn't shown, right? I didn't see that. I don't know how to put it, but I didn't get anything tangible to be like, you know what, this man has lost all of his values and is now embracing this crime because poverty has changed him. There's a constant, it's not a crime. I haven't stolen. I'm not doing a crime. And I'm not sure if the film knows or the character knows that he's lying to himself. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it does. But every time he kept going, I'm not stealing, it really irked me. And then when we're getting towards the end as well, and what did he call it? The IWC fee or something like that?
IWC deal? I can't remember.
Yeah, an IWC, it's a 10% because of IWC or something. I think maybe it was meant to be funny. Maybe it was meant to be funny, but they ran with it a little too long. And it's just, I don't even understand Uzo Aruko's character agreeing to it for him to come here and double cross. You have his child. There is no, if they had no leverage on him and it's like, I'm going to come get you. And it's like, I can bring it to you, but you give me 10%. Okay, cool, deal. Let me get you. You have his child. You need to agree to 10% to get him there, but whatever. And I think I saw someone mention it in the comments. I don't know if you've read it out, where they spend time doing the reconciliation, and there was really no urgency to trying to find this kidnapped child. You're fixing marriage and you're discussing, mommy's advising you to be a strong woman and sort out your marriage. Mommy, your granddaughter is missing. Like, let's have some perspective here. The lack of concern when his family disappeared, because then when we were watching it, we were talking about how this is the Nollywood trope of, the man's babe leaves him while he's broke, and almost as soon as she leaves him, he blows. And then he blows and it's like he has forgotten he has a wife and child. We're like, so I guess it was good she left him because he is a fool and a very unserious fellow. But it's like he forgets they exist, and the only time we go back to him calling them is when they're now in danger. It's like, okay, so you care about them being in danger? Because I thought you were fine to just go to the club and have baddies shake ass in your face and continue to promise yourself you're going to start your business. And there's so much time on, I'm going to restart my life. I'm just borrowing it. I'm going to restart my life. And all we get is one throwaway thing at the end, right? Or in the third act when he goes to the house that, oh, he invested it all in crypto and he has made the money back and here is the password. So we spent all this time and he's rebuilding. All this thing he's been building up to and rebuilding his life happens outside somewhere, and you just tell us that he put it in crypto and the money came. Anywho, I don't know. I don't know. Someone else mentioned it's not a Mount Zion movie. We don't need to have. We don't need to have. He doesn't need to suffer, right? He doesn't need to learn a lesson. Like we watch, films with. We were watching Ocean's 11 the other day, right? It's like people, you want to watch people get away with stuff, but you want it to be smart. Like, I would have liked it to be smart or just dumb fun the way he gets away with it. But no. And also, just a side note, I don't know what was going on with that babe with the short hair and him. I don't know. Like, does she love him? I can't go. She has to love him, right? Anywho, that was just kind of my thing. I did have a few good laughs anyway, but it did kind of fall apart in the later part of it.
Okay, let me go through some of my things. I see Lucky is requesting to be a speaker. Let me do my bad and you can have the mic. But we do have a pushback section. I'm just in case. But let me go through some of the things that didn't sit well with me. All right. So I thought the kids' accent were not good. I thought they were. Every time they spoke, I was like, nope. I mean, because they were given decent. I also thought that some of the lines they were given were actually not bad. Just didn't do well with them. You could always tell they were reciting lines and just doing it not very well. Because I actually thought they gave the kids things to do in this film, and they behaved like silly children, which they were. So yeah. I just wish their acting was directed better. Let me put it on AK and not children. But I think they could have been directed better. I thought the sound was bad, but that's Nollywood. Should have been shorter because should have been shorter because one thing about this one is like it's not paced well. So even though I said I enjoyed the first 40 minutes of it, I do remember at the point where this fraud is happening and he's receiving it. This happens at the 40-minute mark again. And I was like, this is our second film where the inciting incident is happening around the 40-minute mark. It had taken too long. And honestly, again, like I was fairly happy with the first 40 minutes, but then you look, there's like another hour and something to go. I was like, oh no. And the movie just dragged going from there. It just wasn't paced properly. So I thought a lot of this and some of the issues with that is that it could have done with more structure. So I could tell there's some times where they're ad-libbing and just some things need to be more refined. Like ad-libbing is actually a skill. It's not something you can do willy-nilly because what can happen if you're not great at it is that you can, number one, mess up the rhythm of somebody else's like jokes or some other joke that's been set up, or two, you can just draw out a scene and mess up the pacing of the general movie. And I think that happened a lot. I remember the scene where Bakassi is paying off the people who owed him the first time, he's had money and they are surrounding him. That scene just took way
too long. That scene could have been so much shorter. And it just goes on and on. And there are a few scenes like this. There's one where even Uzo, again, somebody I enjoyed quite a lot in this film. He had one part where he's I can't remember. He's bemoaning. Oh, Uzo cracked me up. You weren't allowed to do anything in this film for Uzo since he was finding his money, because it was like, how can you be doing X when I'm looking for my money? I thought that was funny. But there's a point where he does a rant, and the camera keeps on is just focused on him, and we should have cut so much a while back. It reminded me of, again, old Nollywood, where sometimes, the scene has finished and then you just allow the actor just do some small old Nollywood monologue where he's talking, and it messed up the rhythm. And this happens too many times in the film. I thought the film should have been a lot more silly. And by more silly, and I think some people have hinted at this, because some people, a lot of people have talked about how the comedy should have been, it's a little funny and then it stops being funny or something like that. But if you think about what the concept of this movie, this is basically a hit blunt premise. This kind of thing we've done so many. We've thought of, number one. We've actually done a lot of these films like Sugar Rush, and where what happens if you find a bit of money. It's like, if you follow a bunch of Nigerian social medias, Nigerian handles, like the big ones, we have all of these things about what will happen if you found $1 million, or will you slap your sister for $1 million? We're obsessed with this version of it because it's a reality, whatever. But we should have gone so much more silly, and I don't mean slapstick, but an example of this is something like what the lines that were written for this child, like that I mentioned in The Good, where they've made food for her and she's complaining about the food. It just needed so much more of that. There's when we go to meet, I know people don't like Nino's like Rastafarian accent, and I'm kind of with you there because it didn't seem like he was comfortable with it. But I wanted actually more crazy things like that. I needed one of his guys, henchmen, to be called Rasta Man, and the other one to be called whatever, Bad Man, and sometimes for 2 or 3 people to be answering the same name, and like, oh, no, something like that. It needed to include more absurdity because what we were watching was silly, right? It just needed to be a bit more self-aware with both the script and the directing. Because one of the things that's an issue is that it feels like AK feels like a serious director trying to direct a hit blunt movie. This should have been a lot more, because Mr. C mentioned all the hand-holding camera and trying to do a bunch of, not that you can't do interesting shots with comedies, but it felt like they were shooting a serious drama, and that's where some of the conflicting tones I think I've heard from some people have come from. Anyway, the general gist for me is that I needed it to be more silly, needed to stick more to its comedic roots. If I play a film that has Bakassi, KOK, Senator, Uzo, I want to be, I'm here for the chuckles. But yeah, that's my general gist. Okay. We're going to have a pushback section in a bit, but before we get to the pushback section, I want to ask Lucky if there was anything you want to say. Lucky is the writer for Bankala, if I'm not mistaken. I have not done my Nolly data for today, but Lucky, is there anything you wanted to say? Lucky, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, I came in a bit late. I would have been very interested in hearing what everybody liked about it, because obviously there's always going to be a lot that people do not like. So it was interesting hearing the things you guys didn't like, and all of your feedback is well taken. but I would have also liked to hear a bit of the other side. But that's also fine. I just really just wanted to say hello to everybody, and I hope at the end of the day there were some things that you enjoyed about it. That's good enough for me. So thank you.
All right, no worries, Lucky. Thanks. If you after the space, there'll be a recording, or on Monday there'll be a podcast. If you want to listen to, people's the good section again. All right. So pushback. What I think Otas had her hand up. What do we want to do? Pushback.
My hand was up first,
Oh
though.
yeah, Vanessa's hand was up first.
Okay. Sorry.
Hey, this man. Oh God. I didn't even have pushback per se because I don't think there's anything to vastly and largely disagree with. I was going to just carry on about something I forgot, which some people kind of alluded to, but me, I want to emphasize. You people are worried about mommy forgetting that her grandchild was kidnapped. But that know his wife family house. Doesn't want to lie that he does not know. Conveniently, he managed to show up at her parents' house after his daughter had been kidnapped. Not when he left his house because he knew he was in danger. This is the part that I'm confused about here. He goes to KOK's hotel room and says, they know who I am, they know who I am. And he goes to Janta, but does not think about his wife and children, does not think to go and meet them and be like, oh, you're in danger. Perhaps be a little bit more careful. No, he goes where he wants and relaxes and was taking in cage fighting in the open air. And then when his daughter was kidnapped, he still did not carry his two left leg go. This is the part. He didn't carry his two left leg immediately. He sat down on the bed and was making phone call. Haba. Kadayo calls you and says, oh yeah, I've been beat up really badly, my G. And he sits on the bed and he's doing, no, my wife is not picking up my call. My friend, we used to, like, this is the part. And everyone was talking about, oh, they posited him to be this really good guy. I don't know, man. Okay, yeah, he insisted on exposing fraud. Okay. But like 2 seconds into like their life in the hood, they show us that my guy was started and owing people money for gambling. So, not really a good guy. Obviously, makes very poor decisions, which would explain his gambling the money on rice and chicken and going to the club. like, see, a lot of this was just like, no, I'm so sorry. Absolutely not. None of this worked. That from the 45-minute mark where he goes to Kadayo's room and says, they know who I am. How? From that moment, I realized, yeah, no, this is not something I want to devote my complete attention to. Souls, guys.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if what Otas had was pushback or if it was more bad because.
It was pushback.
Okay, go ahead.
So I had pushback for. Where did I write that down? Anyways, one pushback I do remember was more so from Marshmallow and maybe a little bit Yinka regarding the whole crypto rant. I do agree. I think that sure, crypto has made people money, but it has also lost a lot of people money. And the ratio is not 1-on-1, that's for sure. But I do think this movie did portray crypto a little irresponsibly because the idea that you can take a stolen 500 million naira, put it in crypto, I don't know how many days that was, and then make it back and just go away without any consequences is irresponsible. And it definitely could have been handled a lot better. But that's really it.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks, Otas. Okay. Please, I beg everybody else in the space. Okay, let's leave crypto alone. Look. I'm not a crypto head, but crypto is kind of like investing at from the very small thing that I know, at least for small things. And yes, it might be a much more volatile thing than a bunch of other investments, but it is what it is. Sometimes you can get lucky, and sometimes you can get unlucky. Please,
Yeah, but this movie is saying that he took 500 million that he stole, put in crypto, made it back into this.
Made what back?
He made it back.
He made the money
What
back,
the
all
500?
500. That's how he paid off the
Well, like
debt.
a billion.
No, he
Yeah,
made
roughly.
because he spent a bunch of it.
He spent a bunch of it. He buys a car,
Paid
he
it
hires
back in
help, does
a
all of
day.
those things, and then
Yes,
he makes all
yes.
of that money back to pay Janta minus the 10%. Not Janta, sorry, Uzo's character. But I thought it was an irresponsible portrayal because it does present the idea that
But
you're going to just
yeah, I
fix
hear
your
you.
life once
I
you have
hear
enough money
you.
to put in
I
crypto.
hear you. But it's actually doable because of how volatile the thing is. Yes, in terms of portraying it like that, maybe it might have more people go do it and they might lose money. Okay, you know what? I'm not even arguing it. It's fine. Okay, let's just dead crypto. Please and thank you. All right. Um. One of the things I guess it's not even to be honest, it's not a pushback because I guess if this movie was closer to the type of movie I thought it was going to be, where it was more silly, then I would agree with you that I would feel a bit more strongly about why is particularly this thing happening or particularly that thing happened that are that feel yeah, sometimes you have to do things so that the movie happens. But if you're doing that, it has to be in service of something else. So, like, if you go, okay, we're not going to go into family drama or something. It has to be because we want to make you laugh, and there has to be a reasonable substitute. So I don't know, like, whether it's worth going in there. All right. Mrs. C, what did you want to?
Yeah, it's not pushback. It's just two things I forgot.
Oh.
Sorry, I forgot. Both times Okay Bakassi shouted no. I was very upset with him. Because it was just it was the worst acting he did in that film. Whenever he shouted no. But the second thing was just like a mild irritation. On the whole family dynamic thing with Kate Henshaw and her mommy telling her, advising her on going back to her husband, and you need to come talk to my daddy. You need to come talk to my daddy while my daughter is missing, right? And all I kept saying was, person the big pass something. Because, I mean, I don't know how old Kate Henshaw was supposed to be in the film, but I know Kate Henshaw is about 50 years old, right? And I'm thinking, at 50 years old, I'm not telling a man to come and talk to my daddy because he wound me up and my mommy is the one telling me to go and make peace in my home. It was a mild irritation. It's just the person's supposed to be past a few things.
All right. Okay. That's your personal problem.
That is my personal problem.
Terrence, did you have
I love
any?
how you are ignoring me. Like my hand has been up.
I have a feeling you want to get into crypto.
I know that's the reason why. I let you go, you talk,
Yeah.
everything. But you know what's the funny thing? I wasn't actually raising up my hand for crypto.
Okay. All right. I'm
You're
sorry.
by
You
my
feel like even if you think I'm going to talk about, I know that's the reason why. Even if you think that,
I
go.
didn't actually know. Look, Terrence, please, can you give us your perspective? Then we'll come to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is clearly like a pushback or is a clarification. Because I mentioned, oh, like the character was to suffer. Maybe that's the wrong word. I used the wrong term. But basically, what I meant in essence is that there was so many convenient things happening, like in the second act, with this inciting incident and like what has been established. Like, oh, let's forgive him. I mean, we don't know how he got the information that he has been, discovered or he has been uncovered or whatever the word is. But then everything from there, there was no stakes. You get it. It felt very convenient, and I felt like, uh, I mean, it wasn't put in a precarious situation, so I didn't really care about him. I didn't care that it was going to be found. I didn't care that it was going to be, discovered or going to be harmed by Uzo Aruku's character. Like I didn't feel for him. I didn't care about him. So I felt like maybe the writing, they would have done something. I'm not a writer, but they would have done something to make me fear for him, fear for his life, or fear that he's gonna get caught. You get so, yeah. Maybe I used the wrong term about he didn't really. I mean, I wish he didn't have Jagabanti as a friend. You get or as a cousin rather.
and he had, he found a way to, bypass this thing himself, as a character, being very active, being an active character. You get being an active character and just, find a way himself to maneuver these people to, you know, navigate his way to avoiding all these things, and then the whole kidnap would happen. So yeah, basically, like, yeah, it's not a Mount movie. No, I'm not expecting him to, get flogged by angels or anything. Just yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Sarens. Anchor, did you have pushback?
I do have pushback, especially my pushback. Well, I was going to say about the fact that okay, I think the reason why the come to my daddy serves, I think, two things. The dad is a general, so it's kind of like, okay, come to my dad because my dad has the resource to do this, but also come to my dad because I left you and you didn't come. And like the movie does address the fact that you left it, um, Kate Henshaw and them left, right? And they didn't, and like you didn't come. And I think the movie, the reason why my in the movie is like, oh, when he got the money, right? Kate Henshaw left. And then it was dealing with the consequences of having the money. And I mean consequences not in negative manner, but just like consequences, like what comes after having it. Like he had to give the money to the people, then he went to go do all those things, and all those things took precedence before going to meet his family. And he might have thought, oh, since my family is with the general, so they might kind of be safe. But I will still agree with with the criticism that everybody has. But I would say they didn't do it well. They didn't portray it well for many people to just easily more get it. But whatever, that's their own problem. And I was originally not going to talk about crypto, but because somebody did.
Anyway, thanks, Oyinka. That was a good you good pushback there. All right. No crypto talk. Nolly Goodfellow. Nolly Goodfellow, do you want to kind of
Yeah. So one thing that everyone's been mentioning is that how Uzor gets to know that our man has the money. Well, I thought that was pretty straightforward because he got hold of the bank employee, and the bank employee knows who has the money. So I did not feel that disconnect over there. So that is it. And the other thing, yeah, I guess I'm the only one who enjoyed the Janta character. I don't know. It cracked me up. Maybe my humor is broken, but yeah, that's it.
Hey, everybody's humor is what it is. You like what you like. All right. Does anybody have any other additions, non-crypto additions they want to add to Bank Alert? Any other thoughts?
I do. If you don't know what people are going to say, first of all, allow them to talk before you assume. Okay? Allow them to talk before you assume. Okay? Thank you.
You did start it with I wasn't going to, but and that was when my thumb was doing fastest fingers. But okay, general. Is it the time to enter summary? Yeah. Summaries. Okay. Vanessa, do you want to give us your summary on Bank Alert?
Yeah, summary. I don't know. That's so good. I just think, yeah, this was underwhelming. A bit mid. I don't even think underwhelming is the word because I didn't have any expectations for it either. So not like I had any expectations that were to be met. It was just there. See, if you're looking for something, I'm gonna borrow Nico's summary, man. If you're busy, If it's a Sunday night and you're looking for something to watch, or when you're doing your laundry and you want some background noise, or boya you are cleaning your house, or you want to eat your dinner, something to put in the background, then go right ahead. There's a couple little things. Like the first 40 minutes are a little all right with some okay performances. Yeah. How Onyeko ends stuff, man. I think Onyeko does it better. So listen to Onyeko summary.
All right. Do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, I think Oyinkan Summer actually does pretty much. It's the best. It's the best summary for this movie. It's truly inoffensive, really, for the most part. So I don't have a real problem with it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't really like it. I didn't hate it. I mean, if it was playing someday in the background, my mom want to watch it, I would not necessarily leave the room because it's fine in the background. There were some enjoyable bits. It was fine enough to watch. I liked the first 45 minutes. I did enjoy the acting. I did like the casting for the most part. The story just falls short at some point. It just gets lost. Or maybe not lost. I don't know. It's just disjointed. And I didn't the plot it was convenient. There was no urgency. All of the things people have said. But it's not overwhelming. It's not underwhelming. It's just whelming. So yeah.
You were whelmed. Okay. All right. No, I hear you. Terrence, you want to give us your summary of Bangalore?
Yeah, it was really not a bad film. We have seen bad films in Hollywood. It's actually not bad. Um, I mean, first 45 minutes was really cool to watch. It was really nice, engaging, and seeing all those dynamics of the family and everything, and very relatable, situations was nice. But then, it's just one of those movies that you watch, and if you don't watch to the end, like, it's fine. You don't really feel guilty about it. But overall, it's a nice film and good efforts to the producers and the makers of this film. And it's to me, one of the best movies on Prime presently right now, with all the old movies they have on the platform. So yeah.
Wow, big claims, Terrence. Big claims. Not a good fellow. Please give us your summary for Bangalore.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd say the same thing as Terence said. All in all, it was entertaining. And like I said at the start, it's a familiar theme, it's a very familiar format. But despite that, they've managed to make a pretty entertaining film. And yeah, it is probably one of the best films on Prime right now, out of all the films that are there. There was something else I had to say, can't remember. But yeah, I'm not a fan of I haven't been a fan of Nollywood comedies so far, but this is one that I really enjoyed. So yeah.
All right. Thanks, and not a good fellow. Ainkon, do you want to give us your summary?
Yeah. Uh, on a Sunday night, yeah, Susan put it as already given my number. Um, yeah. So it's not an offensive movie. It's an okay movie. It's a typical movie. It's whatever. So on a Sunday night or whatever day you come off of work, movies are just meant to entertain, relax, make you forget about things. Put it on. Watch it. I say watch 30 minutes. If it's not for you, change it. There are many movies, many TV shows all over the world. Pick one of them and go. You decide whether you want to watch it or not. That's my summary.
All right. Thanks, Ainko. Wow, a lot of applause. All right. Marshmallows, do you want to give us your summary?
Yes, so like most people said, it's an okay movie. Um, the reasons what I like about it is that they didn't try to be, overly ambitious. Like they sought out to tell a story. They didn't land the plane well, in my opinion. But in the end, it's okay. I might not promise you a good time, but you might find something. Other people might like it better than I do. So I think it was a good effort. They didn't try to do too much. I liked some parts. I didn't like some other parts, and even the parts that I didn't like, I was like, I didn't hate it either. So yeah, I think it was a good effort. And yes, one that I would recommend to fans of Nollywood to have a look. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Mash Rise. Mrs. C.
This lands firmly in my no to reason pile. I think you can have a good time with it. This one, if you tell me turn your brain off and try and enjoy it, I'm like, fine, I will turn my brain off and try and enjoy it. I had a few laughs. It was inoffensive. It's all right. Copy and paste Oyinkon summary.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I really wanted to like this, but I wanted this to be closer to what Passport did for me. It just has too much fat, and sometimes some of the jokes overstay their welcome. But I agree with everyone on here. It is largely inoffensive because of how simple the story wants to tell. It just goes about its business. It's trying to follow a certain template, and I think for the Jarapa it does it, but there's if it wanted to, a better version of this film just has a lot more creativity and a lot more funny in the scene. But a lot of people do decent work on this, especially some of the comedic performances. So I enjoyed part of it until somewhere where I was lost. When it started in the dramatic thing, I just wasn't interested because that's just not the movie. I was both sold and it wasn't interesting enough a drama for me to pay attention to. So yeah, that's my summary. But it is largely inoffensive. Okay. Thanks everyone who joined us today. This one was nice. Well, for us, relatively quick. And we'll go again next week. We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at IrokoCritic and join us every Sunday 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.